I'm Claire Smith and welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be my May perfume tray. I'm going to pick 10 fragrances for May, but I'm also going to review the fragrances that I wore most in April. And really I started this series of videos to try to get across the message that you can enjoy the fragrances that you've already got. Of course I talk about new fragrances in my collection in these videos. Of course I'm excited to wear those, but really these videos are intended for me to just look back across my collection and enjoy my older fragrances as well. So if you haven't seen me before, I'm Claire Smith. I make videos all about perfume, perfume science, perfume history, perfume psychology, and I also just do some straight perfume reviews and also fun perfume tags, and I also do these monthly perfume trays. So if that kind of thing interests you, then please do consider subscribing, and please also press the like button if you do enjoy this kind of content. So how was April for you? April for me was actually not so bad. It was actually quite relaxed at work. I only had one deadline at the beginning of the month. And also I enjoyed a couple of bank holidays. I went to see my parents and I did some gardening as well, which is an activity I really enjoy. So I had quite a relaxing April and I'm hoping May is going to be similar. But which fragrances did I wear the most in April? Well, it was actually 3 fragrances that tied, and 2 fragrances were from off my tray, but one was just a new acquisition that I was just excited to wear. And that happens, doesn't it? So the new acquisition was Unspoken Gesture, and I'm going to actually talk about this one later in the video, so I'm not going to link her, but that was one of my most worn fragrances for April. And the fragrances from my tray that were my most worn during April were my old favourite, Nettare de Fiori from the Gucci Bloom line. I love this one. It's a green feeling, very sweet feeling, honeysuckle tuberose fragrance. Really a very natural smelling floral for me. So that's Gucci Bloom Nettare de Fiori. And my other most worn fragrance was actually Sirène by Fragrance de Bois. I was gifted this one by Fragrance de Bois back in November. And I really thought this would be more of a wintry fragrance, but actually it seems to work in the springtime as well. And I was really impressed with it. And I wore this when I was at home visiting my parents. And my dad absolutely hates fragrances. And he said, "Oh, what's that? It's quite strong, isn't it?" And I said, "Oh yes, it is quite a strong fragrance. It's not making me cough." So to say that it doesn't make him cough is really the pinnacle of praise from my father. So yeah, Sirène by Fragrance de Bois, in case you want to impress my father anytime. So what's on my tray for May? Well, I really want some florals. I want a variety of florals. I want some sandalwood. I want some creaminess in my life. I also want some sea breeze and also some floral leaning gourmand fragrances. So the first fragrance, just because I'm in the mood for sunshine and summery feeling fragrances, I'm going to pick possibly my most summery feeling fragrance, and that one is Memo Marfa. So this fragrance, I just love the green gel-like coolness of the agave note in this fragrance. I didn't even know that I knew what agave smelled like until I smelt this fragrance. I think the agave in this fragrance is meant to represent a cactus in a desert landscape, because Marfa is actually a place in Texas, and I think that's in the desert. So for me, I don't really get reminded of a desert from this fragrance. It really makes me think more of a tropical island. And that's because this has creamy white and also yellow florals, but that freshness really just cuts through those florals. I really love the freshness that the agave brings to this fragrance, and I think that greenness is kind of added to by the orange blossom in this fragrance. There's also tuberose, there's also ylang ylang, and I think as well in the dry down I get more of a kind of almost coconutiness coming along, and it's more of a fresh coconut, and I think that's really probably the orange blossom, the agave, and also the sandalwood here all mixing and giving me this kind of mirage of coconut. I just absolutely love this fragrance, and I think if you haven't tried it, the one that I would probably compare it to most would be something like Carnal Flower by Frederic Malle. I love Carnal Flower and I really enjoy this fragrance as well. I think they're in this along the same lines. The tuberose is very distinctive here as well. I can't wait to wear this fragrance this month and also later on in the summer. I just think this one is perfect with that cool gel-like greenness from the agave. So that's Memo Marfa. So if Memo Marfa is one of my more recent acquisitions, then this next fragrance is one of the oldest fragrances in my collection. That's what these trays are all about, reminding me of the things that I'm neglecting. So I've definitely been neglecting this one. This one is Madonna's Truth or Dare. So I think this is a celebrity fragrance from a long, long time ago. And I remember at the time of purchase of this fragrance, I think I paid less than £10 for this, which is just insane nowadays. You really would struggle to find a fragrance for less than £10 of this quality. So this one, I think, is very highly regarded celebrity fragrance nowadays. And I think why this became so popular is because it's considered to be a dupe of Robert Piguet's Fracas. And Fracas is something that I think tuberose fans really appreciate. And having tried that fragrance, I don't think this is spot on at all, but I can definitely see an overlap. So this fragrance is a tuberose fragrance. It's a sherbety tuberose fragrance to me. It's kind of fizzy. And there's also a lot of petaliness here. So there's gardenia, and there's also a slight spicy feel to this, a little kick. It's not necessarily spicy, but I think that's a lily. It's just a really creamy tuberose really overall, but definitely with a slight fizz. Very long lasting, and I think it's just something I just need to give more love to. So I'm going to wear this one to work during May. So that's Madonna's Truth or Dare. So the next fragrance is my scent of the day, and my scent of the day today is Miss Dior's Rose and Roses by Dior. So this fragrance is an eau de toilette fragrance, and I can tell it's an eau de toilette in this case because it really does seem to dissipate into a skin scent quite quickly on me, and I end up respraying this one, which I don't mind if I'm at home. But I feel like this is one that I probably wouldn't wear to work because I wouldn't be able to smell it by lunchtime. I think actually it does last a long time on my skin, but it just is so quiet by just a few hours in. But I do just really love this one. I just wish it lasted a little bit longer. This one is a veil-like feeling rose. It's a very pink rose, a very definite rose, and it's one of those kind of rose oil kind of roses rather than something that's more like a Turkish delight or a sweet rose. I feel like this fragrance really smells like it should have peony in it, and when I'm wearing this I keep on expecting to smell peony because peony and rose go so well together, but it just never comes, it never appears. So this has this kind of light muskiness in the dry down. It really is just a light musky rose overall. And I just like the density that this rose has. It just feels like there's a bit of a bite there, and that's the geranium. So yeah, perfect for the springtime, but definitely not one of the longer lasting or more projecting fragrances in my collection. So that's Rose and Roses by Miss Dior from Dior. So next up is my most recent acquisition in my collection, and this one is Unspoken Gesture by Jorum Studios. So this fragrance, the thing I love about it is that it's kind of skin-like. It's also quite huggy feeling, but it's also a little bit hipster. It feels like Diptyque's Le Papier, but with a twist. It's got something about it that's kind of nonchalant in the beginning. It's like someone who's not bothered about you and then sort of warms up to your personality and then is your best friend. That's really how I feel about this one. It gets friendlier in the dry down. So this fragrance opens with a cool cardamom, but also a powdery mimosa. And the powdery mimosa is really the thing I love about this. The mimosa feels polleny and sunny, and there's also just a really distinctive musky, nutty ambrette as well. This is quite floral and quite gourmand feeling. It's like when you open a bag of basmati rice and the aromatics that come off the basmati rice. I just find this one really unusual, really distinctive, and it's something that I continuously sniff because I don't understand this yet, and I want to try it more and more this month and just get to know it a bit more and just discover everything there is to discover about this one, because each time I wear it I notice some different element of this coming out. So that's Jorum Studios' Unspoken Gesture. So the next fragrance is a dark feeling gothic rose, but it's kind of a happy feeling gothic rose, if that makes any sense at all. This one is Perles de Lalique, and the reason I say it's happy is because it has a slightly effervescent feel to me. So this comes off to me as slightly like carbonated water, but alongside a dark red rose, a slight pepperiness, also some woody patchouli, and even something that smells a little bit like a dusty tobacco to me. It really does make me think of clean cigarette ash in that same kind of way as something like Trésor does. I think this one's really striking, and I think this is something that reminds people of things like Midnight Poison, like YSL's Elle. But yeah, just a happy version. I can really see this one not being a love for everybody. I think you really do have to like rose, you have to like patchouli, you have to like woody fragrances, you have to like slightly peppery fragrances as well. But I will wear this one to work because this is something that lasts through the entire day, and this will be one of my easy reaches for May. So that's Perles de Lalique by Lalique. So my next choice is a sandalwood fragrance, and I love sandalwood fragrances, but I think the ones in my collection really do overlap quite a lot. So I have Jardin Sandalwood Temple, but I also have Peau Santal by Miller Harris, and I think the difference between this one and that Jardin is that the Jardin has a warm, woody aspect to it, and this one really plays more on the resins. This one has frankincense, and that's what makes this one distinct. I was really worried when I first got this because I hadn't really checked the notes, and I bought it in a gift set with 2 other fragrances, and I saw saffron listed, and if you know me, you will know that I have issues with saffron, and I was thinking, oh no, I'm probably going to hate this. Oh, why have I bought this and not looked at the notes? Why have I bought this blind? And you know what? I didn't. The saffron here is really not that distinctive. It is a spicy fragrance for sure, but it's not something that smells plasticky. It's not something that smells like burnt rubber, like saffron sometimes can do to me. And I think it does smell like that to a lot of other people too. This one I just really like. I think that it's really long lasting. It's a really punchy fragrance as well. You think it's going to be quite gentle, don't you? Something called Peau Santal. But actually this one does pack a punch, and you don't need many sprays of this. I think for me it's the resins. That's where the love is at with this one. So that's Peau Santal by Miller Harris. So the next fragrance is one that I was just organically reaching for during April anyway. So I felt like I should put it on my tray for May because I'm clearly in the mood for this fragrance and I'm probably going to wear it anyway. So it definitely should go on my tray. So this one is from Nina Ricci and it's Chant d'Extase, and this is a fragrance that I just get cravings for around this time of year. It's something I can't get enough of in the springtime. This one just has a nice freshness to it, but it still is quite comforting and quite gourmand feeling as well. It's an aquatic gourmand, which is a really odd combination. So this doesn't have cologne, it doesn't have noticeable crazy amounts of ambroxan. It's just a really nice, gentle sea breeze caramel fragrance, but with a very slight, very gentle gingeriness. There are other things here. I mean, even the ginger, it's a struggle to actually smell it unless you smell it close up. You do smell the lemon, you do smell the raspberry if you smell this close up, but really overall it's all about that kind of caramel. It's about a creamy caramel, but it's something that isn't overtly sugary. It sounds very odd and it's very difficult to describe this one, but it's really just a gentle, caramelized, slightly salty even fragrance. So this fragrance is an EDT formulation. To be honest, I can tell. It's something that is a skin scent after a few hours, but I really don't mind that because I just love this one so much. So that's Nina Ricci, Chant d'Extase. So the next fragrance on my tray this month is one again that does have that sea breeze feel, but is also really creamy and is a gourmand fragrance. So this one is Reminiscences Guimauve, and this fragrance is just very interesting in the beginning. I think that interesting start has put a lot of people off this fragrance. Some people find this really unbelievably challenging, and I'm really not sure why, because it dries down so quickly into the most powdery, most delicious smelling marshmallow. It's really vanillic, and the almond really gives it a lot of creaminess. So this opens with a bit of citrus, a bit of a herbal feel, but also with that kind of sea breeze. And I quite like that, but I know that, some people really struggle with it. This one is incredibly long lasting on me and very strong. It's something I don't want many sprays of. I think if you like fragrances like Sintra, if you like things like Love Don't Be Shy, then this fragrance is sort of along similar lines, although it takes it in a slightly different direction. The marshmallow here is not distinctively something like a pink and white kind of marshmallow. It's not like something you commercially buy in a supermarket packaged. It is marshmallow, but I wouldn't say this is a very sugary, artificial feeling marshmallow. This is more something that's quite creamy and quite powdery and quite vanillic. So Guimauve by Reminiscence. So the last 2 fragrances in this video are really very random choices. They're just things that I fancied wearing, so I thought I'd put them on my tray. So the first one is a celebrity fragrance, and this one is Pharrell Williams' Girl. So it always looks weird, doesn't it, this bottle? And I think people dismissed it, perhaps because of the bottle, but I just really love this one. I think this gets compared to Dior's Fahrenheit. To me, they smell like very different fragrances. I feel like this one is very much more gentle and it's something that I'm very happy to wear, whereas I don't really feel like Dior's Fahrenheit would be something that would possibly suit me. But each to their own. Clearly people see parallels, I guess because of the notes that are used in this fragrance. So this one is a violet leaf fragrance in the beginning, and there's also some lavender, and it's really quite a gentle, very green feeling fragrance in the opening, but also quite powdery. But as this dries down, you get a slight pepperiness, a leatheriness, and also a slight chocolatiness, but it's really all about a powderiness overall. It's got a powdery feel to me, and I think that's what I find so gorgeous about this one. It's a powdery violet leaf fragrance really for me overall, with a slight leathery touch. I just really like this. I think it's a really good celebrity fragrance. It really stands out. It's something very different. That's Pharrell Williams' Girl. So my final choice this month is really one that I just find happy and fun. And I recently made a video all about my happy fragrances. I thought to myself, I need to wear this more. I need to enjoy this. So this one is Bubble Bath by Maison Margiela. And this fragrance, it just has this childhood memory for me of being in a bath and matey bubble baths. And that's really what I love about this one. But I love that it's so clean. I love the actual literal bubble feel of this with the aldehydes. I love the lavender, and I also love the dry down with that slightly coconut dry soap feel. It feels like a very white fragrance to me in the dry down. This is one that always gets people asking you, what are you wearing? Because it's so distinctive. And I've had several different people at work ask me whether they can try this one because they're so intrigued by it. I think this fragrance just has a joy about it to me. I think if you do have that same childhood memory as me, it will take you straight back to bubble bath. So that's Replica Bubble Bath by Maison Margiela. So that's my final selection for my May fragrance tray. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed the video, then please press the like button, and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And please let me know what you've been wearing during April, and also what your plans are for May. Also, have you bought anything recently? I'd love to hear about your recent purchases. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.